like super happy because like it was a tough match. So yeah, there were really tough moments where she was playing well.
Hindi ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta. Sana patuloy yung suporta niyo sa akin.
Broken dreams and million-dollar tears. That's the brutal truth behind Alexandra Eala's rise from debt to destiny. The cameras were rolling, the microphones were live, and the world was watching. But instead of the usual polished answers and media-trained smiles, the 20-year-old Filipino sensation broke down in front of everyone. Fighting back tears, Alexandra Eala revealed the weight she had been carrying for years. She spoke about her parents' sacrifices, admitting they took out massive loans and sank into serious debt just so she could chase her dream. Now, as the pillar of her family, she feels a deep responsibility to repay everything, especially for her brother. In that moment, the glamour of endorsements and the prestige of training at the Rafa Nadal Academy faded away, exposing the raw reality behind her success. This was never just tennis. It was a high-stakes financial gamble made by a family who bet everything on the talent of a teenage girl. And then came the emotional response from her brother Miko, her protector, her constant supporter, and the quiet force behind her journey. Miko, her shadow and fiercest protector, later shared a message through his own tears that completely shifted the narrative. This isn't just another tennis breakdown of forehands and backhands, it's the untold, emotional saga of the Eala family. Behind the headlines are the crushing loans she referenced, whispers of a hidden injury scare, the long-awaited financial breakthrough in 2025, and the mounting pressure as she battles through the Middle Eastern swing. This is the story of how a young woman became the pillar of her household and how her brother became her quiet hero. To understand those tears, you have to understand the price tag. In the Philippines, Alexandra Eala is treated like royalty, the long-awaited heir to a tennis throne that stood empty for decades. But strip away the fairy tale, and the numbers tell a harsher story. Tennis is an unforgiving, expensive sport that drains bank accounts and tests family limits. When Alex was identified as a prodigy, her parents, Mike and Riza, faced a life-altering decision. Keep her close to home in Manila, or send her into Europe's brutal junior circuit, where only the strongest survive. They chose the harder path, enrolling her at the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy in Manacor, Spain. And make no mistake, the academy is not a casual training camp. It is a high-performance factory for champions, with costs that can overwhelm even well-established families. Annual fees run into tens of thousands of euros, and that's before adding international flights from Manila, tournament travel across Europe, hotel stays, elite equipment, physiotherapy, sports psychology, nutrition programs, and strength and conditioning support. When Alex revealed that her parents had taken out loans, it wasn't for dramatic effect, it was reality. For years, the family reportedly operated on a financial razor's edge, treating every tournament entry and every plane ticket as a calculated risk with no guaranteed return. If injury struck, if burnout crept in, or if she simply fell short of breaking into the top ranks, the dream could have collapsed under the weight of debt. Imagine being 15 years old, gripping your racket while knowing your family's financial stability hinges on your next match. That every tiebreak, every forehand down the line, carries the invisible weight of monthly payments and borrowed money. That relentless pressure is what forged Alexandra Eala. She wasn't just competing for trophies or ranking points, she was fighting for her family's future. She wasn't playing for fame or headlines. She was playing for solvency. She was playing so her parents could finally sleep at night without fearing the bank's next call. Every point carried weight. Every match felt existential. This wasn't just competition, it was survival. But if Alexandra Eala became the pillar of her family, then who was the quiet force beneath her? That's where Miko comes in. In many sporting families, the older brother is the one expected to break through first, the early investment, the primary focus, the future star. Resources usually flow his way, private coaching, tournament slots, attention. But Miko made a rare and selfless decision. He stepped back. He recognized something extraordinary in his younger sister, a spark, a hunger, a level of talent that went beyond his own ambitions. That kind of sacrifice doesn't make highlight reels. It doesn't trend. But it matters. He shifted from competitor to protector, from center stage to support system. While she was being molded into a champion, he became the steady presence behind the scenes, the hitting partner, the emotional anchor, the shield from pressure when things felt overwhelming. That's not weakness. That's leadership of a different kind. And here's the truth most people miss. No athlete carries that level of pressure alone. When someone rises under extreme circumstances, it's usually because someone else chose to carry part of the load. In this case, the foundation wasn't loud. It was steady. Miko's talent was never small. In fact, Miko Eala built an impressive resume of his own, becoming a Division I standout at Penn State University, earning Big Ten Player of the Week honors, and developing a powerful serve that could have carried him toward a professional career. The path was there. The potential was real. But he saw something rarer in his younger sister, Alexandra Eala, a spark that demanded full belief. And so he made the hardest decision an athlete can make. He stepped aside so her dreams could soar. Resurfaced videos circulating online captures that sacrifice in a single quiet moment. After a brutal training session years ago, Alex is slumped in a wheelchair, completely exhausted, her head tilted to the side. Miko pushes her back without cameras, without applause, just a brother making sure his sister could recover and fight another day. That image says more than any trophy ever could. There was no jealousy, no resentment. That family loans were largely directed toward her training at the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy while he carved his path through the U.S. college system. He became her engine, her stabilizer, her quiet strength. When Alex broke down in that emotional interview and said she wanted to repay her brother, it revealed how deeply she understands his sacrifice. Did he ease off his own professional ambitions so family resources could flow toward her European campaign? Did he choose the security of a U.S. scholarship to reduce financial strain on their parents, Mike and Riza? The signs point that way. Yet when he responded to her tears, he didn't demand repayment or recognition. He simply reminded her that she owed nothing, that her fight, her resilience, was already everything. But Alex doesn't see it as settled. To her, the debt is sacred. The obligation is personal. And now, as 2025 becomes the year her earnings finally begin to reflect her talent, the long-awaited financial relief feels within reach. Let's talk numbers, because this is where the story transforms from near tragedy into something that feels like a cinematic comeback. Heading into 2025, Alexandra Eala had earned roughly $455,000 in career prize money. To most people, that sounds life-changing. In professional tennis, it's survival money at best. After taxes, coaching commissions that can take 20 to 30%, relentless travel expenses, equipment, physio, and ongoing academy costs, that figure shrinks fast. The family's financial pressure likely hadn't disappeared, it was just quieter. Then came March 2025. The Miami Open, a WTA 1000 event, the kind of stage where reputations are built and careers are accelerated overnight. Alex entered as a wild card, an outsider few expected to make noise. But she didn't just compete, she detonated the draw. She stunned Yelena Ostapenko, a former French Open champion known for her explosive power. She overpowered Madison Keys, a Grand Slam finalist and one of the most dangerous hitters on tour. And then came the seismic moment. She defeated world number 1 Iga Swiatek, a wild card from the Philippines, taking down the most dominant player in women's tennis. It was the kind of upset that echoes far beyond one tournament. It marked the first time a Filipino player had beaten a top 10 opponent, let alone the world number 1. Social media erupted. Back home, the country celebrated as if it were a national holiday. But beyond the headlines and history, there was something else attached to that semi-final run: $332,160 in prize money. Not just validation relief. Not just glory breathing room. For the first time, the balance sheet began to tilt in their favor. In just 1 week at the Miami Open, $332,160 flowed directly into Alexandra Eala's account, more than some families earn in years. It wasn't just prize money, it was mortgage erasing, debt clearing, life-altering relief. And she didn't stop there. Riding that momentum into New York, she captured her first Grand Slam main draw victory at the U.S. Open, adding another $154,000 and proving Miami wasn't a fluke. Quarterfinals and semifinals followed across the season, and by the end of 2025 her annual earnings had soared past $1.36 million, more than triple her entire career total entering the year. That's the context behind her tears. When she said, "I want to repay everything," it wasn't symbolic anymore, it was possible. She wasn't just a promising prospect. She was a top 40 player, a millionaire athlete with the power to wipe out loans, settle every euro of debt, and finally give her parents the peace they sacrificed for years. She had become the pillar she always promised to be. But success brings a different kind of weight. As 2026 began, the fairy tale glow faded into the grind of the WTA calendar. Expectations replaced surprise. Targets formed on her back. Rankings had to be defended. Bodies wear down over 40-plus weeks of competition. Arriving in Abu Dhabi for the Mubadala Open as a top 40 player, the underdog label was gone. Now she was expected to deliver. She moved confidently through early rounds, defeating Zeynep Sonmez and Alexandra Sasnovich, looking sharp and composed. Then came the quarterfinal against Ekaterina Alexandrova. Suddenly, something felt off. Her movement lacked its usual snap. The trademark lefty patterns weren't biting the same way. The pressure that once fueled her rise now hovered heavier, more visible. And in that moment, fans were reminded that staying on top can be even harder than getting there. Her forehand, the same weapon that dismantled opponents throughout 2025, suddenly lacked bite. She was broken early, broken often, and fell in straight sets. Disappointing, yes. But tennis is a sport built on losses. Even legends like Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Serena Williams had off days. Fans responded with support, reminding her that setbacks are part of the climb. Then she did something rare. Alexandra Eala went on Instagram and apologized. She called herself a disappointment. She said she had let people down. And that's when her coach stepped in. Unable to watch her shoulder blame while critics speculated online, he revealed what they had tried to keep quiet. She had been playing with a grade 2 ankle ligament tear, the very ankle she loads on her serve and pivots on for that heavy lefty forehand. Doctors had advised 3 to 4 weeks of rest. They warned that pushing through could worsen it to a grade 3 tear requiring surgery. But she chose to compete anyway. She taped it, managed the pain, and stepped onto the court. Not because she didn't understand the risk, but because she did. Because she knows what her family sacrificed. Because she feels responsible for sustaining the momentum she built in 2025. Because, in her mind, slowing down feels like letting everyone down. That's the dangerous edge of the pillar mentality. When you see yourself as the provider, the stabilizer, the one who must deliver, rest can feel like failure. You override warning signs. You convince yourself that pushing through pain is strength even when it borders on self-destruction. The coach's revelation changed everything. Criticism turned into concern. Online negativity flipped into apologies. Those tears after the match weren't about a loss on the scoreboard, they were about grinding, relentless pain, and the fear that her body might betray her just as she reached the sports upper tier. Now she moves on to the Qatar Open in Doha, carrying not just ranking points and expectations but the fragile balance between ambition and recovery. Another WTA 1000, another shot at massive points and prize money at the Qatar Open. But the tennis scriptwriters seem to have added one more cruel twist. Waiting in the first round is Teresa Valentova, and for those who followed Alexandra Eala closely, that nationality carries weight. Call it coincidence. Call it matchup dynamics. Fans call it the Czech jinx. Across ITF events and WTA tournaments, Alex has repeatedly run into a wall against Czech opponents, aggressive baseline hitters who take time away, flatten out rallies, and redirect her spin-heavy lefty patterns before she can dictate. From early career ITF clashes to tougher tour-level defeats, the pattern has been stubborn. Most recently, Valentova herself handed Alex a decisive straight sets loss in Japan last October, a reminder of how uncomfortable that matchup can be. It's less about superstition and more about style. The modern Czech game, early ball striking, relentless pace, compact swings naturally disrupts rhythm players. Alex thrives when she can build points, use angles, and open the court with heavy topspin. Czech hitters often deny her that setup time, rushing her into defensive positions and turning her own spin into attackable balls. Now layer in the ankle issue. A taped joint. Limited push-off power. Split-second hesitation in lateral movement. Against a player who redirects pace early, even a small physical deficit becomes magnified. And Valentova is no pushover. Still a teenager, she's rising quickly and already owns a junior Grand Slam title at the French Open, proof she can handle pressure on big stages. She's fearless, hungry, and stepping onto the court with nothing to lose. For Alex, this isn't just another first round. It's a test of adaptation. Can she shorten points, serve more precisely, vary height and tempo, protect the ankle, and flip a narrative that's become psychological as much as tactical? Because at this level, the battle isn't only against the opponent across the net. It's against doubt, pain, expectation, and history. Valentova steps onto the court knowing she holds a psychological edge. She's beaten Alexandra Eala before, and convincingly. She understands the patterns, the lefty spin, the preferred rally constructions. That makes this clash at the Qatar Open far more than a routine round of 64. It's a referendum on resilience. Can Alex, on an ankle that should probably be resting, solve a stylistic puzzle that has troubled her for years? Can she withstand an opponent who strikes early, redirects pace, and refuses to let her dictate? More than that, can she quiet the internal pressure that comes with defending a breakthrough season? Because this isn't only about rankings or prize money. It's about proving 2025 wasn't a flash in the pan. It's about showing she belongs inside the top 40 and that she's built to stay there. All of it circles back to her emotional promise: I want to repay everything. In Filipino culture, there's a deeply rooted concept called utang na loob, a profound debt of gratitude to one's parents that can never fully be repaid. It's not financial alone, it's moral, emotional, lifelong. Alex carries that in every swing. She knows her father, Mike, likely spent sleepless nights recalculating budgets to fund one more tournament. She knows her mother, Riza, stared at tuition invoices from Spain converting euros into sacrifices. She knows her brother built his own path while cheering her on from college in Pennsylvania, watching her compete on the clay of the French Open, the grass of Wimbledon Championships, and the hard courts of the US Open. That's why she pushes through pain. That's why she tapes an ankle that doctors advise to rest. That's why, even ranked world number 39 and rising, she competes with urgency that borders on desperation. For her, this isn't just glory anymore. It's redemption. It's turning loan papers into symbols of triumph. It's honoring sacrifice with results. The question now isn't whether she has talent, we've seen that. The question is whether she can balance ambition with preservation, hunger with patience. Because sometimes the strongest move a pillar can make is learning when not to carry everything alone.
Kamusta mga kapong Pinoy? Surprise! Excited na akong imbitahin kayong lahat na manood sa mga laban ko sa Mubadala Abu